I'd like to thank everyone for making it to the last day or the last session of today. Don't have any interesting quizzes to for you all like Kenny said, but this is the open forum, so we'll get started. I have two things that I wanted to share with you all. One thing that KYTC or District 5, I guess, has been doing for quite some time. And then a second that it's kind of new in District 5 that we've been doing. I wanted to kind of make this about communicating with utility companies. So one thing that District 5 has begun doing new pretty recently is creating a utility record of contacts. This is something that our right-of-way staff does, and I saw the value of this when I was in a right to take lawsuit, and the right-of-way agent was on the stand, and the attorney from the property owner was asking him questions, and he referred to his record of contacts, and I saw the value of that. And I decided to start doing that in District 5 because we have, 15 to 20 projects ongoing at any time. And it's, difficult to, to keep all of our correspondences straight with all the companies. So I started doing this utility record of contacts. And this is, keep it really simple. It's just a Word document that I've started that has, it's basically a timeline of utility submittals and correspondences. This is a project that we have going to construction pretty soon this in the next couple months. But it doesn't have, every correspondence on there, but it has major decision-making points and correspondences on there. It with links to the emails within our project folders. So something that, like I said, we started doing last year, and like I said, I think this helps with the amount of turnover that the cabinet experiences. Not that I'm going anywhere, but should something happen and the next person need to take over, I would hope this will establish that narrative for project management. The second thing, one that the district has been doing for quite some time, are regularly scheduled utility meetings. Sometimes they've been scheduled monthly, bi-monthly. But we try to have regularly scheduled meetings where we go over all of the active projects. We don't really get into the details of the design, but it's a high level overview where we can discuss each project for 5 or 10 minutes, follow up on action items from our joint utility meetings, whether that's staking requests for right-of-way easements, or SUE needs that the companies have. This is our opportunity for them to make those known to us. They're oftentimes asking about the status of our right-of-way acquisitions, so this is a good opportunity to discuss that. They often also times ask about the status of the NEPA process and environmental review. And this is another opportunity to discuss that. Like I said, it's high level overview, 5 to 10 minutes on each project. And it's just a great opportunity to keep the communication going so that you don't have, months and months where, a project, you don't have correspondence with that utility company because, we've still been in the right-of-way process or for any reason. It helps to keep that communication going back and forth because as many of us engineers, we're not the best at that. We oftentimes rather be in our cubicle or working on design or something else, but it, helps to force that that communication with the utility companies. Yes.
Russ, are you doing those in person or virtual or a component of both? Are you doing those on?
I am offering them in person, but it has been 100% virtual. We still have, reserved the conference room, but it's just myself and my staff in there. But we do make make it an option to people that come into the office.
Do you see an improvement in participation because it's virtual?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
There was a lot of when we were doing it strictly in the office, the big players would come in that are effective on almost all of our projects, but those more rural providers that they're not impacted by our projects, they are participating more in our virtual meetings.
I think it helps too, to have the utility coordination meetings because it kind of forces everybody to come together, us and if there's a consultant involved, the utility company. And it requires everybody to just sit down, look at the jobs that are coming up, get questions answered, that may have slipped through the cracks. And obviously with staffing issues that a lot of us are experiencing in the cabinet and outside, it allows for hopefully things that may have slipped, missed emails to kind of get brought up and caught before it becomes an issue and a letting gets pushed. So ours are virtual. I don't know if we'll explore the option of in person, but right now virtual seems to be working for us in D6 as well.
How long do your meetings usually last?
Mine usually go right at an hour, sometimes more, but I try to get done in.
And that's what makes the virtual component so much better. Is that way everyone's not spending another 2 hours driving to and from.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, ours an hour.
Yeah, those are, like I said, one thing that we've been doing for quite some time, the utility coordination meetings and also the utility record contact, something that we've been doing pretty recently that's new to District 5. So with that, we'll open it up to the forum. Is there anything that y'all want to discuss?
I'll go first. Say someone is working on a project and they need to quality level A. And what is the process for them to request that? Do they go directly to the district and say, hey, I need this, and we'll do it under statewide survey contract? Or can they use a preferred pre-qual person to do that for them?
Well, we have 3 consultants that are on the utility statewide contract. I think it's under survey. So in District 5, the utility, the point of contact that we work with from that utility would make the SUE request to me or to one of the utility agents working on the projects. We would go over the SUE needs with the utility company. Also go over it with the project manager, and then discuss it with either Sean or the location engineer and make that request to central office. Yes.
Wondering how some of the districts are handling the HSIP corridor improvements where we're doing 6-8 miles of trenching and shouldering. They say we can't do level B locates 6-8 miles. We know there's fiber optic line, we know there's water lines, but we don't know if we're in the way. We don't have the skirt limits. Just wondering how other districts are handling that.
Do you have any recent experiences with HSIP?
Yeah, we have a pretty long corridor that we're working on now. We haven't had any SUE issues. A lot of our stuff is overhead that we're working with. But the HSIP consultant is dealing with most of the utility coordination on that. What about you guys?
With the HSIP projects, we still request facility maps from all the companies. Like I said, we can't get the full survey throughout the entire length of the project. But where we have culvert extensions, you can certainly, look to do level A locates at those culvert extensions or where we have a significant amount of ditching and shouldering. The recent HSIP projects that I've worked on, the water company said that their facilities were located outside the right of way and then, in their own dedicated easement. So that gave us some, knowing that all of our activities were within the right of way, the likelihood of running into that water main was pretty low.
The things that we're seeing is maybe fiber optic line, we don't have disturb limits, so they say, well, where do I even need to move? We said, well, we don't know because they won't decide until the contractor's out there basically building. So how do we even write an agreement that says we're gonna move this much fiber optic line or whatever? It's been a real challenge. I think, I'm just curious if anybody else is dealing with the same things and how they're handling. Anybody else that?
What I would interject with is, if you're calling 811 to get those utilities marked on the 6 mile corridor, of course, they're not gonna do that.
Right.
But you can hire a sub that specializes in SUV that can come in and do that for you. And they'll be able to get those facility maps and mark everything up on that corridor for you. That's an
Is that our
alternative.
responsibility or is that HSIP?
That's their question.
We feel like HSIP said, yeah, we're handling coordination, but what our utility companies are saying is we're not getting enough information. We feel like there may be HSIP is not handling it very well.
So at the district level, you're saying the districts are not really handling utility coordination at all?
Yes, we're unsure what our role is because HSIP said, yeah, we're handling the coordination. And then we get a proposal, and we don't have any way to tell what's being disturbed.
I mean, the project that we're working on right now, the district is doing the utility coordination. In terms of kind of getting facility information, the consultant is helping with that, but actually working with the companies on relocations and things, the district is working with them on that. I don't know the right answer for that. I don't know why they're not giving them reserves.
It's corridor improvement. They're basically doing maybe 1.5 to 2 feet of shoulder widening. With that comes, extended ditch slopes and things like that.
And they're not doing a full set of plan?
Yeah, why aren't you getting disturbs from that?
It's all just proposal. They'll show a 2-foot section where it says there's shouldering, but it's all specific on what the actual existing ground looks like in that. How a contractor even did.
Yeah,
That's a thing there.
is there just miscommunication on what's needed? I don't, yeah.
I know there are some proposal only projects where, we don't have a full blown out set of plans, but we have project specific notes. But I would think that those are limited to like the guardrail replacements,
Yeah, where you don't need disturbs, that's
but-
hard.
not where you have, excavation and then we're, digging. But I would say that, to take ownership from the HSIP program and to treat it like a regular project. I mean, it's gonna be a little different, but there's no reason that you can't try to, to do that full blown out utility investigation. And, whether that includes using, an SUE contractor or in District 5, there are some that will go out and locate their own facilities where we have, like I said, culvert extensions or ditching and shouldering.
I think we've got good survey data around those culverts, but next year I'll hopefully have an answer for it. Because we got 2 or 3 of these that we're doing, so.
Is that district, your district 3, where you're at, down there by that transport or?
Now, this is Highway 185, North Warren, South Butler.
I thought I'd been out there close where they're doing all that out there on that transport area, all that.
All those are school owned 6-year plan projects.
So you were told that you can't get sewer work done?
No, we haven't been told that. We were told that
Have you asked?
we haven't.
Just ask.
We were told that they were handling the utility coordination. So we didn't really know what our role is in that. We say there's not enough information. We asked a lot of questions, but we're not sure that.
We have asked for plans with them for them to get those.
Well, I mean, occasionally I see those HSIP come through, there'll be an agreement or something on something minor. Not every day, a lot of times they're trying to avoid everything they can, but it's kind of like Kentucky bridging project, so inevitably it doesn't happen.
One of the notes may say if fiber optic line is located, it will be relocated upon finding. Well, how do you write an agreement for that?
Yeah, that's, you don't have.
Who's,
definitive.
who are you asking for more detailed plans from and not getting them?
The HSIP program in general,
That's
yeah, trying to.
I mean, I,
See what you on the spot there.
Sorry. I didn't know if this was the designer.
I
but-
mean, you all deal with it too, I'm sure.
Yeah, we don't have an issue. That's what
Yeah.
is odd.
Is this resulting in change orders when you find those facilities? under construction? During construction like that?
Well, so far, we haven't let the construction.
Which done.
Yes.
The others have had primary utility.
But they're telling you all that you don't need to be involved, that they'll take care of it in HSIP.
Until you do have to be involved.
Right?
Until until they need your help. or-
That's, they're not. Oh, yeah.
Are they involving you in project review?
Yes, but, not necessarily correspondence. We had to ask to be involved in correspondence with some utility companies.
You need to get out of your side.
I don't know. I don't share the same experience, so.
Have you voiced this in my phone? Really? I mean, on the other HSIP
So
projects,
nice.
the utility there, the be addressed one way or the other. I think in this instance, it's the unknown.
They're trying to get by with,
No,
with notes saying basically don't disturb them.
right.
Okay, I mean, that-
Notes or no, without knowing anything,
That's
that don't work.
what they want.
I thought that's why they want to bid the project, let them bid it that way.
Maybe they don't, maybe they think they're just gonna run things into construction if they get something, right? If they're running something.
That simply just let them do it that way. We had the last few years where we had ditch cleaning, which inherently, you turn dirt, guys, which is like what it sounds like, there's cleaning just dirt. And, we've run into gas mains. And, damaged gas mains to the point where we had fines issued to KYTC and we ended up at, digging school. Digging school, instead of traffic school. There are some things that really should be factored into the development of water. And if you've got a utility, especially if it's a gas facility, near that shoulder, and you've got a shoulder project like that, it becomes very problematic to try to do that proposal.
This is fiber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a problem unless you hit it.
Well, that's.
Cell phone tower shut down.
It's funny, and I get that, but if it was common facilities or the nearby hospital,
Exactly. No, that's
Land security, it becomes not funny real quick.
no.
So it's something that you gotta push to do the right thing and get that utility information and get that analyzed so that we're making good decisions on the project. And if we can get a plan of some kind and not go just proposal only. In instances where utilities are in close proximity and returning dirt, gosh, we really need to try to do that.
Jennifer, I agree with you, but it sounds like they're talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but the problem is that we're,
I'm not dismissing the utility conflict, but if they're not gonna, if they're not gonna give them the information they need, then I don't know what you do other than wash your hands of it. Let them suffer the consequence.
if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. I'm happy to fight that good fight as well, because I want to save job sites. And I want, everybody to keep their utilities on, especially when they're, they're necessary utilities that the end users need.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Expecting the rest of the children to take notes for HSFP, or they doing it themselves? They are writing it, we're reviewing it. No, but it says there's, the section where the roadway contractor will move the fiber optic line where needed is, I don't know, it's a, of course, keep in mind, I've only been in utilities for about a year now, so I'm still learning. But, it's challenging because I understand the normal process of writing agreements. This has been a little different.
Well, I've been in utilities for 7 years and I'm still learning. I think we all are. But I would just, I mean, every district does operate a little bit differently, as Ken was saying in the previous one. I'd encourage you to get with your branch manager and to discuss that with the HSIP program coordinator. I'm very fortunate that in District 5, my branch manager came from HSIP. So it works very well with those groups. And, we have been getting those kind of the plans and stuff that we need in District 5. So, I think that maybe a discussion with the HSIP program might help to alleviate some of that.
Plan sets on all of your corridors,
No,
like the 7 mile corridor.
you won't get a full plan.
Not a plan set, but a.
Something you can work with.
Yeah.
That's got a good level of detail, yeah.
And you do, there's set up money, if you do have to agree
Mhm.
somehow.
Yep.
They don't move them out.
Sorry to train wreck this.
No, I mean, that's what this is for, like. That's absolutely what this is for.
Like you say, a lot of this from the future on, is why you see permitting going on about that, anything, not at all, under the no road area or ditch, from permitting standpoint, don't be hit. Minimum type of work, whether it's KYTC or whatever.
Yeah, that's another thing, the utility accommodation policy, now that we have to, have everything essentially from ditch line to ditch line clear of utilities. That is a challenge that, I'm experiencing in District 5 because it is a more urban, suburban corridor, district, sorry. And there is very limited right of way. So that's where, like Kenny was saying, get out of your silos. We are trying to, in District 5, work with our consultant partners to come up with conceptual utility relocation plans at PL&G phase so that we can identify utility easements that are needed to relocate those facilities. Now, granted, the utility company may take our recommended set of relocation plans or conceptual plans and politely say, thank you, but they may toss it, but at least we've demonstrated that we, because in District 5, we acquire a lot of the general utility easements for the companies. We've demonstrated that there is an adequate amount of either right of way or easement for the replacement of their facilities. And that, if they choose to, toss out the conceptual relocation plans, then that means that any additional easement needs that they have are going to be on their responsibility.
And I think an important part of the utility coordination meetings with the utility companies is also staying in contact with district permit staff and knowing what's incoming on kind of the other side from the company, because we have caught some situations where the utility companies have an expansion plan in an area that's on our kind of radar, but it doesn't have letting. So if we can catch that and kind of get them involved and let them know, it could reduce our cost, it could reduce their cost, and we try to have that on our schedule with our utility coordination meetings too. It just, obviously it makes working with the companies better because we're not coming to them and saying, hey, you need to move this that you just installed, right? So staying in touch with permit staff, staying in touch with whatever liaison does the permitting for the utility company, everybody working together, again, just getting out of the silo is going to be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty fortunate that in District 5, the permit staff is pretty good about reviewing the active highway plan map on our website and, makes me aware of permits that they receive that are within our project limits. The utility companies definitely have silos. Every single joint utility meeting that I have, like the first meeting that we have, do you have any projects in the area? No, we don't have any projects that we're working on. No, not one. And then, months later, our permit staff comes to me and says, hey, we got a permit for a utility install and, they couldn't, make that known to us at that time. But that is absolutely something that is, that's important to, have good communication with your permit staff. And the joint utility or the utility coordination meetings is just another opportunity to ask, hey, do you all have any projects? Because a lot of the water companies are going to have a lot of, projects coming out with the infrastructure money. And, they're going to be, doing a lot of work that is going to overlap our projects. And that's going to take a lot of coordination.
And they're always confirming your priorities too, about every time too. So I always hear say, which one do you want to be on?
Yeah, like I said, we have a long list of projects and, it's important to express to the utility companies our highest priorities.
Unless you're in District 6, then they're all a priority, so they don't really get that much.
You two guys have been as largest metros in the land, well, Lexington, speaking of Lexington, but with all the economic development and industry moving in, I mean, you're always tying roads and projects to suit help that effort, so. Both of them.
Yeah, that's
just
the
the
challenge.
state.
In District 5, Verizon has been trying to put out fiber, everywhere. And it's been a challenge to coordinate relocated facilities, but also to try to accommodate new facilities. We are primarily concerned with those relocated facilities. But, also knowing that we have some projects that are in final design or in the right-of-way phase or in the utility phase. And we can't, hold a permit for months and months or years until our project is done. So we do have to, work with those companies that are submitting, permits for new facilities to, try to allow them to place their facility without impacting a alignment that's been approved for a different company that's relocating facilities. So, yes.
Are you all having good success with including utilities in the highway contracts? Is that increasing?
Oh, yeah, and District 6, that's definitely. We prefer to do that if at all possible. I will say, success is kind of an interesting word. I don't know if sometimes we have issues because the utility companies are very overwhelmed. And if they don't have a designer on staff, then we kind of run into the issue of, we need their plans in the next couple months and they don't have anybody to design them. But they want to go in the road contract, right? KYTC doesn't have staff, they don't have staff, so then we're kind of scrambling, trying to figure something out to get some kind of plan. Which again goes back to the coordination meeting. We get everything on their radar and they can kind of plan accordingly. And if they need to find somebody to do design work, it allows us to get them into the road contract at the end of the day and then, get it built. So
You've probably been using KYTC statewide. So
In District 5, we've been using the statewide consultants a little bit. We've also used the consultant that's on the design consultant doing the roadway work to take on that responsibility of doing a contract mod of doing utility design for, say, a water district or any other utility that, just doesn't have the resources to take on that task. We've been having good success in the last several years, 5 years with, having either, our consultant partners take on some of that work.
Yeah, the utility,
Advantage to putting that in the design contract mod versus into the utility agreement.
Yeah, there's a man over there against the wall does the negotiating when we have it into the road. We don't have to do it.
Obviously,
I mean,
there would have to be plenty of design to be able to do that. You notice that things like we estimate our design fund short because the consultants are getting so expensive.
Another advantage to that, I think, is just that design consultant already has that in-depth knowledge that they've been, a part of the project from the scoping meeting. So they've got a little bit more, knowledge on it and don't have the lead up time to that. Yes.
Indiana went to the model where most projects are basically a turnkey. So we were doing a design that is pretty much any aspect of the job. And I believe that improves the utility coordination, so the internal team works together. As we mentioned earlier, the designer is the one that creates the conflicts. And if it's one team, it can build a lot better. And we do, from time to time, have a utility coordinator that's even a different firm. And that works. But I think best opportunity is to turnkey as much as you can. This is my opinion.
our most recent experience with the utility statewide though has been awesome. I have the communication that we've had between the designer and myself and the company is, I have no complaints. It's been quick and easy. And so if that's the case, I don't see an issue with going that route either.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate either. That's a good option. Yeah.
I think both are viable options if you're at a scoping point, if you're having a scoping meeting and you're just
And you're
beginning the
there.
project, I think it's good to include it in the scope of the work that the consultant, provides, the utility conflict matrix at, PL&G for each alternative submitted. And then, submits a, utility, conceptual relocation plans after, we've selected an alignment. And then there's going to be other times where, you for some reason are further along in the project and you don't want to go through the contract mod. The statewide contract is very easy to work to go through. You have a brief scoping with the consultant and, Jennifer has been very helpful with facilitating those letter agreements for that, scope of work. And it's just, I think probably different points of the project timeline is gonna, determine whether you, do that as part of the design scope of work or a statewide contract. 5 minutes. No.
We're done.
It is still
We're done.
time. 4:30.
Thank you all.
These guys here, they go on. I did, I tried it next week, but I design bill. He said we got a design bill in the green.
Good job.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm moving the same. We're trying to, we've been talking.
Oh, that's right.
But I'm sure you.
Yeah.